Street magic. New York City, a place known for its towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, hides many secrets beneath its glittering surface. I never believed in the supernatural, but what I encountered in the heart of the city one fateful night would shatter my skepticism forever. It was a crisp autumn evening when I received an invitation to an underground gathering in a dimly lit, nondescript building in the Lower East Side. The invite was cryptic, promising a unique experience. As a journalist, always seeking a captivating story, of course, I couldn't resist. Arriving at the address, I found myself in front of an unremarkable brick building. A single red door beckoned me inside. It was there that I hesitated for a moment, glancing around at the vacant streets, but my curiosity, of course, got the better of me, and I entered. Inside, I was met with a giant network of narrow hallways and dimly lit rooms. The air was heavy with the smell of incense, and whispers filled the air. I followed the echoes to a small candlelit chamber where a group of people, dressed in flowing black robes, were huddled around a pentagram drawn on the floor. In the center of the pentagram, a woman with striking red hair and piercing green eyes stood, chanting incantations in a language I couldn't understand. She was a charismatic figure, her presence commanding, and the other attendees watched in awe and reverence. As I observed, the ritual took an ominous turn. The woman began to speak of power, dominance, and control. Her words were a chilling mix of manipulation and persuasion. She talked about how they could influence people's thoughts and actions, bending them to their will through psychological manipulation, dark secrets, and a deep understanding of human psychology. They called themselves the Coven of Shadows, a group of individuals who had dedicated themselves to a twisted form of black magic. My heart pounded as I realized I'd stumbled upon a gathering of individuals who practiced a form of manipulation and dark arts that went beyond bounds of ethical behavior. They believed that their rituals and practices granted them an edge in the ruthless world of power and control. As the evening wore on, the members spoke of the influence they wielded, sharing stories of how they used their knowledge to manipulate people and situations to their advantage. All of this while maintaining the facade of ordinary citizens in the city. I ran from the gathering at that point, because I had no idea what they'd do to me if they ended up catching me. Luckily for me, I made it out safely. Yet still, most people won't even believe my story. New York Occult. New York City, a sprawling metropolis where millions of people pursue their dreams, hides more than just ambition within its streets. One evening, I got led into a dark area that left me questioning reality itself. My phone had fallen out of my pocket. Turning around to look for it, I saw a kid running into the alleyway with it. Now I know what you're thinking, and honestly, I didn't want to follow, but I figured to get my phone back, the only way was into that alley. As he ran behind the door, the only way in was through that door. Being very unwise myself, I decided to follow him deeper into this alleyway. When I entered the building, the thing that I stumbled upon was something strange, something that in my 25 years of living in New York, I never experienced. Inside, I discovered an elaborate ceremony that, to my surprise, was going on so close to the streets where I was living. The leader of this group, who announced himself as the Master, held the attention of the others with persuasive rhetoric. He spoke of control, influence, and domination in the scariest form that I'd ever heard. Their methods were grounded in the darkest realms, relying on fear, guilt, and the vulnerability of targets. This cult had members who hailed from diverse backgrounds and professions. They gathered in this horrifying location to discuss their plans on what they would do. I overheard horrifying stories about rituals and sacrifice that made me want to throw up. To think that in New York, my New York, this was going on made me sick to my stomach. The things that they were saying started to make me fear for my life, in which case I absolutely should have. Upon finally having a chance to leave, I did. I left my phone in there with that little kid who ran up to them, perhaps as a form of protection, or perhaps to show me what he didn't want me to mess with. I never did get that phone back, and I had to cancel all my credit cards and all my information. And to be quite honest, for years to come, I was deathly afraid that that cult would visit me in my sleep. Denmark. I remember that summer well. The summer I traveled to Denmark in Europe. It was a picturesque place with rolling hills and quaint cottages, but it harbored a darkness that would haunt me for the rest of my life. This is the story of a curse that defied all reason, and it shouldn't have existed, but it did. As I explored the village, I heard hushed whispers about an old woman named Elzbieta. She was known to possess an ancient and malevolent power, the Evil Eye. The villagers spoke of her with a mixture of fear and reverence, warning me to steer clear of her, but I had to go and check it out myself. One afternoon, I ventured deep into the area to find her cottage, hidden away from prying eyes. Elzbieta was an old woman, her eyes clouded with age and her voice soft and trembling. She welcomed me with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity, sensing my interest in her peculiar abilities. She told me about her curse, an affliction passed down through generations. With a mere glance, Elzbieta believed she could invoke fear, guilt, paranoia, and frankly, a pure curse upon her victims. This evil eye curse would cause their lives to unravel in a web of suffering, giving the victim who received it issues for life. One evening, she shared a tale of a young girl, Isabella, who had crossed her path. Elzbieta claimed that with a single malevolent look, she inflicted the curse upon the girl, bringing misfortune and misery into her life. Isabella's health eventually deteriorated, her relationships had soured, and her once thriving farm was reduced to rain. As Elzbieta recounted the story, I couldn't help but feel like I shouldn't have came. The evil eye was something that would take more than just praying to get rid of. It needed a witch doctor to do so. As I realized being there wasn't a good idea, I decided to pack up and leave, thanking Elzbieta for telling me all of her stories. It was at this point in time that I wasn't sure if I made the right move to be curious, as I may have received something that I didn't want. I felt that when she was telling me all these stories, she really was giving me the evil eye herself. Thankfully, I haven't felt anything since that day, and I hope I never do. They always say curiosity killed the cat, but I hope mine has a different outcome.